When Europeans travel to America for the World Cup, they expect the biggest culture shock to happen inside the stadium. The crowds, the roaring fans, the massive matches. But it doesn't take long before they discover something even more surprising: the roads of America themselves. From highways so wide they seem to have no end, to enormous pickup trucks, gas stations that feel like miniature logistics hubs, and urban traffic jams that leave an entire carload of fans losing their minds. America on the road can sometimes be more shocking than America inside the stadium. The fascinating part is that for Americans, most of these things feel completely ordinary. So why can a trip to watch football in America turn into a vivid lesson about an entire country? In this video, we'll explore the experiences that truly surprise Europeans when they encounter America's road system for the first time. Number 7. The road trip behind America's World Cup experience. For many Europeans, going to a football match is a very straightforward experience. They hop on a train, get off at a station near the city centre, walk a few streets lined with pubs, and the stadium appears as a natural part of the city. But when they arrive in America for the World Cup, the first culture shock may not be inside the stadium. It begins at the rental car counter with the GPS screen lighting up, and with the realization that watching a match in America sometimes requires preparing as if you're about to set off on a cross-country road trip. Imagine a group of fans starting in Dallas. In front of them are not European-style pedestrian streets, but a sprawling city of heat, concrete, enormous parking lots, and wide lanes baking under the Texas sun. Summer temperatures in Dallas are often in the mid-90s degrees Fahrenheit, around 35 degrees Celsius, but the pavement can radiate heat like an open oven. They turn on the air conditioning, fill up the gas tank, and head toward Oklahoma City, about 205 miles or 330 kilometers away, a drive of more than 3 hours. And that's only the first leg. Oklahoma City offers a different feeling. A vast sky, blazing sunshine, strong winds, open plains stretching out on both sides of the highway, and a horizon that seems to keep moving farther away. Summer daytime temperatures are usually in the low 90s degrees Fahrenheit, about 32 to 33 degrees Celsius. For Americans, this is the familiar scenery of a long drive. But for many Europeans, this is when they realize that America is not just big on the map. It is big in every mile that slips past the windshield.
Question to Americans: is it true that a 4-hour drive is a short drive here? I was literally talking to an Uber driver and he said that from Dallas to Austin it's a short 4-hour drive. Short!
From Oklahoma City to Branson is another 325 miles or 523 kilometers, nearly 5 hours behind the wheel. The scenery gradually changes. Flat highways give way to the greener Ozarks with rolling hills, forests and lakes. But the journey is still not over. From Branson to Nashville is another 455 miles or 732 kilometers, taking 7 to 8 more hours. Altogether, the route can consume 15 to 16 hours of driving, not including fuel stops, meals, restroom breaks, traffic, or checking into a motel. Then Nashville comes into view on a southern summer night. Hot and humid, glowing neon lights, live music pouring into the streets, crowds of people, spicy food, and sweat still clinging to your shirt after a full day behind the wheel. For many Europeans, this is no longer just a trip to watch the World Cup. It becomes a vivid lesson about America. Vast, hot, dependent on the automobile, yet filled with deeply human moments. Because somewhere along those hundreds of unfamiliar miles, sometimes a 2-minute conversation at a gas station is enough to make an entire continent feel a little smaller. Number 6. America's roads feel too smooth to be real. An English traveller has just left the rental car centre near the airport. He enters his destination into the GPS, adjusts his seat, and pulls onto the highway. In his mind, he still carries the instincts of a European driver. Preparing for narrow roads, tight corners, uneven pavement, cars parked close to the curb, and the need to stay constantly alert. But within just a few minutes, everything feels different. The car is no longer weaving through traffic. It glides smoothly along a road so wide, so flat, and so long that it seems to have no end. Outside the window, multiple lanes stretch out beneath the sun. In the distance, green exit signs come into view with perfect clarity. Beside him, a pickup truck cruises at the same speed. Ahead, an 18-wheeler rolls steadily forward, heavy but so familiar that it feels like part of the landscape. Inside the car, country music plays, a drink rests in the cup holder, the air conditioning blows cold, and the GPS calmly announces that there are still several hours to go. For Americans, this is an ordinary drive. For many Europeans, it feels unfamiliar. The roads are too wide, too smooth, too inviting to just keep driving. In Europe, many cities were built long before the automobile. Their historic streets were designed for pedestrians, horse-drawn carriages, and small public squares. Driving there often feels like a test of patience. You slow down, watch every corner, and carefully avoid compact cars parked inches from the sidewalk. But in America, once you merge onto an interstate or a suburban highway, the road opens up like an invitation. The car is not just moving, it has room to breathe. The smoothness of American roads.
And one of the things I love about the USA is just like how much space there is. Like the roads are just so wide and you just feel like you've got a bit more room. In the UK, we're obviously a tiny island and we have to pack so much in.
Oh God, I'm scared! Okay, I'm about to do it. I'm doing it! Fight! I'm going out of the way! Shut up!
Is not just about the asphalt. It comes from the width of the lanes, the steady traffic flow, the clear signage, the generous spacing, and the feeling that the entire country was built around the automobile. The road does not end at the edge of town. It continues to another town, another gas station, another state. But Americans listening to this might laugh, because they know that highway dream can disappear the moment a sign says road work next 12 miles, or when you hit a stretch of potholes after winter, or find a lane closed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the real America. Some roads leave visitors in awe, while others make Americans want to apologize to their own cars. So when Europeans say American roads are incredibly smooth and comfortable, they are not just complimenting the pavement. They are beginning to understand why Americans can live in their cars, commute in their cars, go out to eat in their cars, attend sporting events in their cars, and see long-distance driving as nothing more than an ordinary part of everyday life. Number 5. Everything on American roads feels oversized. For many Europeans, a car is usually about practicality and compactness. A small hatchback to squeeze through old city streets. A fuel-efficient sedan that can fit into a tight curbside parking spot. A compact electric car small enough for a narrow garage, tiny roundabouts, and streets where buildings seem to almost touch the sidewalk. In Europe, cars are often expected to shrink themselves to fit history, public squares, and city centres that were built centuries before the automobile ever existed. But when a European fan walks into a rental car lot in America, especially in Texas, the first surprise may come before he even picks up the keys. Instead of the familiar compact cars, he finds shoulder-high pickup trucks, enormous SUVs, Jeep Wagoneers as spacious as a tiny apartment, and Ram trucks with massive front ends, oversized tires, and towering cabins. He doesn't simply open the door and sit down, he almost has to climb into it. And once the door closes, the outside world suddenly feels lower. The road is farther beneath his feet, the traffic ahead stretches out more broadly, and he has the feeling of driving a machine that could only have been born in America. To Americans, those features may seem completely ordinary. Ventilated seats, spacious cabins, large center displays, multiple cup holders, huge cargo areas, high ground clearance, and powerful air conditioning. But for a European taking a road trip for the first time, the vehicle suddenly becomes more than transportation. It feels like a living room on wheels. You can stretch your...
Oh my God, the yellow school bus is real. The yellow elementary bus is real.
Guys, I've never seen something like this before. This truck behind me is way bigger than I am. I never saw something like that.
Your legs, place an oversized drink beside you, charge your phone, listen to podcasts, eat breakfast, stop for a break, and then drive several hundred more miles without thinking twice. What's interesting is that Americans understand exactly why their vehicles are so large. In Texas, Oklahoma, the Midwest, the South, and many suburban communities, a pickup truck is not simply something to show off. It is a work truck, a trailer hauler, a tool carrier, a fishing vehicle, the family school shuttle, the Costco car, the tailgating vehicle outside the stadium, and the car that takes the whole family on long road trips. American vehicles are large because America itself is large. Homes are spread far apart. The grocery store may be miles outside the neighborhood. Stadiums have enormous parking lots. Highways stretch across multiple lanes. Suburbs spread for miles. Many families spend hours driving every week. In that environment, a vehicle does more than carry people from point A to point B. It becomes a place where Americans live part of their daily lives, drinking coffee, making phone calls, waiting to pick up their children from school, listening to music, thinking, and sometimes sitting quietly for a few extra minutes before walking into the house. Number 4, Americans think a 3-hour drive is normal. Almost everyone who lives in America has heard this phrase at least once. It's only 2 hours away. Just 2 hours. It's not far. You can go there and back in a day. To Americans, that sounds completely normal. A 2 or 3 hour drive might mean dinner with relatives, going to a football game, attending a concert, spending the day at a lake, visiting a casino, heading to the airport, stopping by a larger city, or simply taking a weekend trip. But for many Europeans, 2 or 3 hours is not only. It's a serious journey. In Europe, that amount of time can be enough to cross a large portion of a country, or even enter another one. So when a European fan arrives in America for the World Cup and asks a local whether the next city is far away, the answer can make him pause. The American looks at the map, shrugs and says, "Only about 3 hours." Meanwhile, the European is already thinking about charging his phone, packing enough water, planning a lunch stop, checking for rest areas, and wondering whether an overnight stay might be necessary. Meanwhile, the American has already grabbed the car keys. The gas tank is full. A giant drink sits in the cup holder. The GPS is running. The podcast is queued up. And that 3-hour drive is filed away in the same mental category as the ordinary errands of a Saturday. Not because it is actually short, but because America has taught people to see long distances as a normal part of everyday life. Driving at typical highway speeds of around 65 to 75 miles per hour, 2 to 3 hours can cover roughly 130 to more than 220 miles. For many Europeans, that's a substantial distance, but for many Americans in Texas, California, Florida, the Midwest, or sprawling suburban regions, that can still be considered a day trip. This is exactly the kind of detail that makes American viewers laugh and leave comments like, "I drive 90 minutes to work every day. My grandma lives 3 hours away and we still say she's nearby." Or the classic, "In Texas, 3 hours might not even get you out of the state." But behind the humor lies a reality that isn't always comfortable. Driving for 2 or 3 hours can be exhausting. It burns fuel, causes drowsiness, traps people in traffic, and makes them almost completely dependent on the automobile. Americans call it normal not because it's easy, but because in many places they simply don't have another choice. For Europeans, it's a shock about distance. For Americans, it's just everyday life. Number 3, American gas stations feel like mini logistics hubs. For many Europeans, a gas station is just a quick stop. Fill the tank, buy a bottle of water, use the restroom, and get back on the road. It's a brief pause, almost too ordinary to remember, but when they arrive in America during the World Cup, especially on the long highway drives between cities, a gas station can make them stop and stare. Because here, a gas station is not just a place to buy fuel, it feels more like a miniature support hub for the entire highway. Imagine a group of European fans leaving Dallas for the next leg of their journey. After hours of watching the highway stretch endlessly through the windshield, they spot an exit sign and decide to pull over, thinking they'll only stop for 5 minutes. But as they roll into the parking lot, they see rows of fuel pumps spread out like the apron of a small airport. Pickup trucks, SUVs, minivans, RVs, and 18-wheelers all share a space so enormous that the gas station itself feels like a temporary town. Then they step inside. Cold air conditioning rushes over them. The walls are packed with snacks. Refrigerators are filled with soft drinks, energy drinks, iced tea, and bottled coffee. Coffee machines are running non-stop. The hot food counter glows under bright lights. In one corner stands a soda fountain with cups so large that many Europeans might think it's a joke. Elsewhere, they find beef jerky, sunglasses, phone chargers, t-shirts, souvenirs, camping gear, and countless items travelers never knew they needed until they saw them. For Americans, none of this is unusual. Gas stations are a central part of road trip culture. Americans may forget how many exits they've passed, but they remember exactly which station has the cleanest restrooms, which one serves decent coffee, which has the best snacks, which is large enough for the whole family to get out and stretch, and which one should probably be avoided after dark. That's because American gas stations serve a country where long distances are simply a fact of life. When a trip can last 3, 5, 8, or even 10 hours, the gas station becomes a place to reset your body. The driver gets out, stretches, fills the tank, grabs a coffee, tops off a cup of ice, uses the restroom, checks the GPS, calls home to say about 2 more hours, and climbs back into the car like a pilot preparing for another takeoff. For Europeans, it's just a stop along the way. For Americans, it's part of the system that keeps the journey moving. If the highway is America's bloodstream, then the gas station is the supply point that keeps the entire trip alive. Number 2. American roads look exactly like the movies. For many Europeans, a gas station is a very quick stop. Fill the tank, grab a bottle of water, use the restroom, and get back on the road. It's a short break, almost too ordinary to remember. But when they arrive in America during the World Cup, especially on long highway drives between cities, a gas station can make them stop in their tracks. Because here, a gas station is not just a place to buy fuel. It feels like a miniature logistics hub for the entire highway. Imagine a group of European fans leaving Dallas for the next leg of their journey. After several hours of watching the highway stretch endlessly through the windshield, they spot an exit sign and decide to pull over, thinking they'll only stop for 5 minutes. But as soon as they roll into the parking lot, they see rows of fuel pumps spread out like the parking apron of a small airport. Pickup trucks, SUVs, minivans, RVs, and 18-wheelers all gather in a space so vast that the gas station itself feels like a temporary town. Then they walk inside. Cold air conditioning rushes over them. The walls are lined with snacks. Refrigerators are packed with soft drinks, energy drinks, iced tea, and bottled coffee. Coffee machines run non-stop. The hot food counter glows under bright lights. In one corner is a soda fountain with cups so enormous that many Europeans might think it's a joke. In another are beef jerky, sunglasses, phone chargers, t-shirts, souvenirs, camping gear, and all the things travelers never knew they needed until they saw them. To Americans, none of this is unusual. Gas stations are a central part of road trip culture. Americans may forget how many exits they've passed, but they remember exactly which station has the cleanest restrooms, which one serves decent coffee, which has the best snacks, which is big enough for the whole family to get out and stretch, and which one is best avoided after dark. That's because American gas stations serve a country where long distances are simply a normal part of life. When a journey can last 3, 5, 8, or even 10 hours, the gas station becomes a place to reset the body. The driver gets out, stretches, fills the tank, grabs a coffee, tops off a cup with ice, uses the restroom, checks the GPS, calls home to say about 2 more hours, and gets back into the car like a pilot preparing for another takeoff. For Europeans, it's just a stop along the way. For Americans, it's part of the system that keeps everything moving. If the highway is the bloodstream of America, then the gas station is the supply point that keeps the entire journey alive. Number 1. Wide roads do not save America from traffic. At first, many Europeans fall in love with American roads within their very first hours behind the wheel. The highways are wide, the pavement is smooth, the lanes stretch endlessly ahead, the road signs are large, the sky opens up beyond the windshield, and the car glides along what feels like an endless ribbon of asphalt. To them, it feels like a distinctly American kind of freedom. Coffee in the cup holder, music playing softly, cold air conditioning, the GPS guiding the way, and another exit waiting somewhere up ahead. But that feeling can change very quickly when they reach a major city like Atlanta. After hours on the road, the group of European fans has settled into the rhythm of the highway. They've begun to understand why Americans like big vehicles, why a 3-hour drive doesn't seem like a big deal, and why gas stations feel like supply depots. Then the GPS announces that the destination is only a few miles away. It sounds close, but the arrival time doesn't go down. It freezes, then jumps, then slowly adds more minutes. Ahead of them stretches a sea of red brake lights. To the left, another lane merges into traffic. To the right, an exit ramp is backed up with cars. Overhead are flyovers. Below are heavy trucks. Surrounding them are SUVs, pickup trucks, sedans, Ubers, airport shuttles, construction vehicles, everyone inching forward through the heat of the city. The road is still wide. There are still plenty of lanes. The cars are still powerful. But almost nobody is actually moving. This is when many Europeans discover the other side of America's highway dream. On long-distance drives, American highways feel like freedom. Inside a major city, they can become a trap. You're sitting in a very comfortable vehicle with wide seats, a large touchscreen, and cold air conditioning, yet you're not going anywhere. The same vehicle that made you feel powerful suddenly becomes a small room locked among thousands of other small rooms. Every room contains someone who's running late, exhausted, checking the clock, or simply sighing. Americans understand that feeling immediately. Atlanta understands it. Los Angeles understands it. Dallas, Houston, Miami, New York, Chicago, and Seattle understand it too. A drive can begin beautifully, but the moment rush hour arrives, everything turns into an endless line of brake lights. The roads may be enormous, yet somehow everyone ends up stuck in exactly the same place. Then there's the humid heat. The pavement radiating warmth, sunlight reflecting off windshields, and air conditioners working non-stop. Outside, it's sweltering. Inside, it's a different kind of suffocating. For many Europeans, it's a contradictory culture shock. American roads are unbelievably wide, yet urban traffic can still drive them crazy. Americans only have to hear this story to smile and say, "Welcome to rush hour." And perhaps that's the biggest shock Europeans experience after arriving in America for the World Cup. It's not just the wide highways, the oversized vehicles, the massive gas stations, or the road trips that last for hours. What they discover is an entire way of life built around the highway and the automobile. In America, the road doesn't just take people to the stadium. It carries them through the suburbs, past gas stations, across hot and humid cities, through traffic jams, and into the ordinary moments of daily life that many Americans no longer even notice. But when those everyday experiences are seen through the eyes of a visitor, they suddenly become something remarkable. If you live in America, which part of this video felt the most accurate to you? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more surprising perspectives on life in the United States.